Well, welcome back to the Awakening Potential Show. I'm your host, Karen Rudolph, and this is a space where ordinary softens and extraordinary is allowed to emerge. And the show is for visionary leaders who've cared a lot, learned a lot, and quietly know that there's so much more not to do rather than to remembering who you are. So here we talk about awakening as a concept, not as a lived experience. So, through our stories, embodied wisdom, conversations, and meeting life where it is, this is where sassy confidence meets classy wisdom, and your bold, badassy brilliance gets expressed without apology. So, take a breath, let your shoulders drop, and just give yourself permission to be here fully. So, I'm so honored to share this space with someone whose journey reflects the heart of this work. She embodies it. And my guest, Victoria Ray of Why You Two Shine, is the founder of that company. She's pioneering quantum personal development, quantum field, and universal laws via daily practices. And she's a recent TEDx Talk speaker. Congratulations. I can't wait to hear all about it. Welcome to the Awakening Potential Show, Victoria.
Karen, thank you so much for having me. I have deep love and respect and honor for you, and so it's really beautiful to be here and share this space with you today.
Definitely. And it's a pleasure as well, because I know we both have busy schedules, and to make the time often takes quite a bit. And I know we've talked and we met, and our schedules finally meld, so it's meant to be, I believe. I always like to begin the show with asking, who were you before the world told you what to be or what to do, or was that even a case for you?
It's a very interesting question because in my case, quote unquote, the world was the Soviet Union. I was born in the former Soviet Union in Ukraine. And that was a place of constriction and a place of lack of faith or spirituality. The party was the god that you were mandated to worship. But I was incredibly blessed to have parents that loved me unconditionally and infinitely, not just really loved me. And I think that's the answer probably that comes in is that despite the suffocating constriction of the world around, if I were to say who I was loved, and that became the core of everything that I am.
Love that. Love that. I feel that too. Thank you. So, when you were growing up, who was your hero or your superhero?
I think first and foremost, again, it was my mom and dad, and the two stories that come to mind. One is very emotional for me because it wasn't until I became a mother that I understood the depth of the sacrifice that my mom had for me. Severe allergies, so much so that as a little child, well, first of all, they didn't know that you had cat allergies, and both of my grandparents had a ton of cats. I was growing up with cats, but my cheeks were oozing so much as a toddler that I would get stuck to a pillow, and you would have to pull it off and wash it off in the morning. And so my mom was doing constant research and she read somewhere that carrot juice was good for that type of allergy. And now there are no juicers. And so she would go to the market before she was working. So she would go to the market before she'd work. She'd buy carrots, she'd grate them by hand, and then she'd squeeze the carrot juice for me every single day. And so when you say the hero, yeah, I'm choking up. There isn't a greater accomplishment or triumph than a mother who grates the carrots by hand and squeezes them for her child. And so that's what I mean by that was poured into me literally. It was poured. And
Yeah.
so once again, it was years till I realized that's the first. And the second, in 1986, Chernobyl happened in Ukraine. There was a huge nuclear disaster. My dad was the editor-in-chief. I was 11. I'm 50 now at the time of recording, but I was 11, and a nuclear station leaked, blew up. And so my dad was editor-in-chief of the regional newspaper. So they mandated that he goes there 3 days after the explosion to write that everything was fine. And so he goes there, he comes back and he has a minor nuclear poisoning. So he's throwing up for days. And then he refuses to write an article. Now, what it means in that regime is that there are no jobless, so they can't fire you. But they've demoted him to just covering the sports. And we went from a family with a high social status and recognition where my parents would sit with the president of the country at the events to outcasts. Gratefully, this was after people sending you to Siberia and all the crazy stuff. And I watched my dad. And it wasn't until 6 years later, Karen, that the Soviet Union fell apart. And he was invited to come to America as one of the very few journalists who stood for the truth. He
Mm.
came back and he founded the first independent newspaper in Ukraine. And when he came back, I asked him, and as I give, I have chills because I believe this is probably where God is taking us on this journey today. I asked him, I said, Dad, because everything was new. He brought M&Ms. I've never had M&Ms. And the tape cassette player, all of them just, but I said, what was the most poignant moment for you? And it's double poignant now for me because being in Ukraine is at war. It's fifth year now. And he said, I went to Arlington Cemetery. And he said, you know, for us in the Soviet Union, the World War II memorials say, here is the tomb of the unknown soldiers. And he said, that is how we're treated by our society. We're unknown. But he said, when I went to the Arlington Cemetery, it says there lie those whose names are known, if only unto God.
Mm.
That's the difference. In a free society, you are known, if only unto God. And in a totalitarian society, you're unknown. You're nothing.
Wow, that's powerful. Yeah. We've gone through quite a journey, to say the least. And growing up there, it must have been such a difference than coming here, where we know what I'd like to believe is freedom. I think every country, everything has its challenge. Every relationship has its challenges, put it that way. And honor you and your family for really being a stand and standing in love the whole time, no matter what, is what it really sounds like to me. And knowing what I know about you, you've carried that love through everything you've done. And it's a demonstration of who you are and who you're being today in today's world. But before we get to what you're doing now and all that, like what's the interim part? Like get here, how old were you when you got here? You were
I first visited when I was 18, and then I immigrated at 20. So
You're still young. So did you have trepidation coming and leaving? And the unknown is really talk about resilience.
I think first what's coming through me is that freedom is such a powerful word, you know, wanted to tap into, and then I'll answer the question immediately, is that Soviet Union, in a totalitarian regime, you have duties and no rights. But then I think in societies that strive for utopia or anarchy, you have rights and no freedom.
Mm.
And so freedom is a very delicate balance of rights and duties. I actually think I love America. It is a free country, but I think we're tiptoeing between anarchy and totalitarian boundaries at all times. You know,
Yes,
we're pushing against the two. And far right is very far right, and the far left is very far left.
exactly.
And the free, but the beauty of America is that the freedom is in the middle.
Yeah.
You know, it still is in the middle. So for some reason, it came through for me to share that. And so when I first came, I came to support a friend who was going through a culture shock. Her mom married a US citizen and it was talking to her. And I came just for a short period of time, and it was an amazing time. I was in Santa Barbara. Didn't have any trepidation. I knew I was going home in 6 months and just had an amazing time. Then I met my husband, who happens to be an American. And when I came back to marry him, and the one moment, I didn't know that I was going to bring mom and dad, my brother later. I was hoping to, but didn't know. And it was very difficult to leave them. I remember standing at the airport, and my mom was saying, well, everything will be good. And she hugged me, but I could feel her heart, and it was just racing, and she was trying to be strong. And I took to freedom like fish to water. I can honestly say I did not have I think back home, I had a gift of internal freedom, and I believe it was the gift of dreaming and visualizing, traveling that actually created the opportunity of external freedom, which is in a nutshell what I teach.
Yeah. So did you learn that what you teach back then? Was that the lesson? Was that the point in time, that tipping point that really was the trajectory of what you're doing today?
I think the awareness came much later. I think you and I and everyone who's listening is fine-tuned for their mission throughout their life. And we have a luxury of expanding awareness of that. And I think when we finally leave this mortal existence, we'll look back and we'll understand every breath we took was a training for our mission, right? Our awareness will expand to that degree. But the tipping point for me was actually when I was already in the US and husband and I saved every penny to buy a little home. We moved in when I was 8.5 months pregnant with my daughter. I literally unpacked us and gave birth shortly after. And it was bare bones. We had
Yeah.
no curtains.
Yeah.
Our crib was a hand-me-down from a friend. Diapers, couldn't afford diapers, so just reusable, washing them. And I remember, period of just laying in bed and just staring at it all and feeling completely inept, like felt inept emotionally, mentally, physically depleted, financially. I'm just a complete puddle. And I'm laying there on that bed and I'm looking at this little bundle of joy in complete, what do I do now? Felt sorry for myself. A pity moment. I had a very deep spiritual, profound experience, and this is just for me, like it's not. But for me, Christ has always meant a lot. And at that moment, what I was shown was that he who I see as my master was born with nothing, and that was more than enough for him. And that was the tipping point. The phrase, what I have is more than enough, has
Mm.
become a motto that took me through everything and shifted into that vision of expanding gratitude. I really think this was the first tipping point.
Yeah, beautiful. Would you say that was when awakening potential is based on the ordinary to extraordinary, and really being what's the word I'm looking for? An inspiration for the listeners that, takes something that within us to shift into what we do today. And I like to think it's all do extraordinary things, no matter what we think or feel about ourselves. I believe we're all extraordinary. And there's that moment in time where it's like that wake up. You know? What was that for you?
I think there are so many of them, but I remember it came while one of my first books. It's a long time ago that I wrote it. It's called Until You Win, and I remember realizing literally in the middle. I don't remember which chapter, unfortunately, but in the middle of one of the chapters, I redefined extraordinary for me. I realized that my ego was striving to prove something or to do something expansive. And I realized that it wasn't what I was doing, it was how I was doing it.
Right.
That I could be extraordinary by putting love into everything I do. Because I took ordinary and I put a little extra into it. And so I sat there because I had no time. I was a homeschooling mom who was a number one real estate agent in Virginia. Translation, busy. And Spirit said, write this book. And so I said, I don't have time. I don't have energy. And then I said, I'll just do 3 minutes to 5 minutes a day. But I will sit there and I will fill those 3 minutes with love. And so that became, so for me, extraordinary shifted not from how I show up to others or even the trail of accomplishments, because those don't depend on us. I think you can plant a tree and it either will grow or not despite our effort. I think it depends on the divine. But what depends on me is putting extra love that I'm capable of into everything I do. And so I homeschooled kids and we did extraordinary dishwashing. We did extraordinary laundry. And so it's a practice for me, like put a little extra love into everything you do. And that's what makes it extraordinary.
Yeah, absolutely. I would think that's your superpower. Do you have any other superpowers that you like to claim?
I have a superpower that I am so excited to share. As a kid, I was very psychic. Translation, psychic in communist regime, not a good thing. So had to have been suppressed.
Mhm.
But it's a talent, it keeps coming out. And so even going to the academy every Saturday, girls would come to my house and I would do different readings, like name it, candles, cards, no tarot, so playing cards, whatever. But the bottom line is we're all energy field. And all psychic is being able to see a person's energy field. And
Mm.
what I've learned is here's how these two superpowers work. The more you love a person, the safer their spirit, their higher self feels to show you who they are. The more you see them, the more you are shown how to help them. Now, all the mediums
Mhm.
that you can use, they're secondary. The connection is primary. And so that joyful thing that I did as a kid has developed into a full-blown company.
Love it. Tell us a little bit about your company now that you've mentioned it.
Yeah.
Of course, just as a quick aside for the listening audience, all of Victoria's notes and connections will be in the show notes. So do, make sure you reach out to her. But tell us a little bit about that if you would.
Um, been a year that I will remember always. At that time, I am have my best year in real estate. Millions in sales pending, this price homes, making home 28 million, but pending sales of homes. And then January, they asked me through audit. A tedious audit starts in January. And in February, my mom and I get a call that her sister in Moldova dies suddenly of a heart attack. We fly to Moldova. And then every month, that year, for different reasons, I lose either a family member or a
Mhm.
close friend or a close client. 11 deaths in 12 months, like on the dot. So in November of the year, I experience this all-suffocating darkness where I say, I can't. I just limits, I can't. And I'm in the middle of the night, I'm literally woken up with this clear knowing that you cannot chase the darkness and you cannot beat it, that you do have to turn on the light. And I am shown the image of a light switch going on and dispersing the darkness. And so in November, with all of that business pending, I quit real estate cold turkey, turn it over to my broker. I found you to shine as a reminder that you too shine, that is within you, that we have one job, turn it on, and then nourish and keep it on. Because that was the shift for me.
Yeah.
That was the beginning of the company. And it developed into from originally because I was doing so successfully. I started coaching professionally, then I added coaching personally, then I added energy healing, then I built a team, then we have apps and books and journals. But it was from that moment that layer upon layer, an incredible team of very talented coaches has formed into a family and then
Mhm.
quantum freedom subscription, membership, and so forth and so on, but one tiny step at a time from that moment.
Love it. And it's very powerful. For the listening audience, tell them a little bit more, if you would, about it. Explain, if you would, a little bit more about quantum fields.
Yeah. So December 2019, I have a gorgeous little studio that's 5 minutes away from my home. And I was doing these manifestation seminars that are selling out, and I have this very clear prompting, take everything online. And I think, well, that's strange. I mean, I've ignored the spiritual prompting enough times to know that you pay with health, energy, money, and in all the other ways. So I'm like, I'm ignoring God's prompting. So because of that, I'm like, okay, everything online. And I started what's called Quantum Freedom, which is a place where I do psychic shifts and quantum leaps, tuning to the person's energy through the energy of connection, which is the quantum field and then finding the energy block for them, shifting it to the flow and expanding, the air in our life, just many powerful sessions. So I find that, and we launched it January 2020. And then, of course, a couple of months later, the world shuts down for COVID, and we have the best year in our company.
Mhm.
We are countries and people are sustained. And the very first course I was guided to do was called the Course in Miracles, based on the original Course in Miracles. And,
Oh, okay.
and we witnessed, Karen, miracles that were undeniable. And so that was the beginning of quantum as such.
I so love that. We're so many different ways, and I know we've never really had a chance to talk deeply and connect in that respect, but very similar paths. You've taken it a lot deeper at this point, which is amazing to hear. And I love how you're guided and guarded as well. And I really truly believe. And I can't forget the times where I've been like, okay, I'll do it. I'll get to it in my time. Or it's like, okay, I hear you, but I'm busy right now, right? Well, busy obviously being the excuse of like, do anything. So yeah, been there, done that, and I always pay for it. Always. So
You
yeah.
know, this is somebody, Karen, between the two of us, we've created a bubble, I think, of incredible moment for somebody. I've been betrayed many, many times in my life. And this is what I've learned. And that's for somebody truly. Betrayal is only possible when you betray the spirit first. Because if we're honest with ourselves and we go back in time, have a tiny prompting about a person, and because it's illogical or unreasonable, we ignore it. And when we ignore it enough times, then that person's karma is to betray us because we've betrayed our guidance. Very difficult to take that radical responsibility, but when you do, you open yourself to listening and heeding it months and years before betrayal is possible. And it's very for me. It's as recent as 3 years ago when I've experienced a very brutal betrayal. But when I sat there sobbing as the closest people to me in my business did unforgivable things that I did choose to forgive, I went back and I thought, wow, years before, when there were no signs, I had a feeling that I tossed away with reason. So hopefully it helps someone today.
Yeah, I don't skip over this because for me, in everything we're similar. Everything that I do as well is forgiveness. It's for yourself. It's not for others. You would talk a little bit more about that if you would.
You know, forgiveness is so with TEDx, the topic of my TEDx was three laws to quantum leap your worth. And actually, forgiveness is the second law of quantum leaping your worth. Um, and to me, the reason you need to quantum leap your worth is because you will never outperform it, out enjoy it, or out expand it. Our connection to our infinite worth is what determines our everything. And so the law is a law of forgiveness. And I say in English, and I love English language so much. It's my fourth language, but my favorite, because forgiving is for giving. So
Yes.
when you're for giving, you're using it for giving away the energy of resentment, regret, and revenge that are blocking you from the flow, and for giving that space to the energy of compassion, creation, and expansion. So think of it this way: you're for giving, and as you give it away to the divine to handle, now you're in space to create. And so TEDx talk, what I gave was an exercise. It's completely free and it's not a landing page where we capture you. By the way, if you go to my site, yushine.com, and you go to free to forgive and you go to forgiveness letter, you have that formula there. Once again, open formula, not a landing page. Our subconscious to hear, to be asked for forgiveness. And so that formula is as if somebody writing a letter to you that hurt you. So in my case, the person that betrayed me would write to me and say, "Hi, Vika. Number one, forgive me for not being able to ask you for forgiveness." We forget to forgive somebody for their inability, and that's what lingers. Number two, forgive me for what happened. It was wrong. It should have never happened. No excuses, no higher perspective, no lessons. All of that is for later. Right now, our part that is wounded needs to hear. And third, please, please forgive me and sign with their name. Superbly powerful.
Yeah, I love that. That's the first time I've heard it in that respect. I've
I
never.
created it, Karen. I created it. That's why.
I love that because I've been doing forgiveness work forever, and I do forgiveness work with as well. But I love the concept of that. And it will work either way, but I really, really like it. It's embodied and more complete. So thank you for that. See, I learned things as well, not just for my listening audience, for me as well. We're all growing and learning and expanding every day in every way. Um, Vika, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that you have a gift for the listening audience. What might that be?
I do. And it is the site actually is mygiftoffer.com. If you go to mygiftoffer.com, but also you can claim it on youtoshine.com. I have a quantum leap ebook which is 50 shifts from the most limiting beliefs that I found in over 15,000 sessions. This year's the first year where I've limited my time to only my three most outstanding clients, and now only with groups and have incredible coaches that help our individual clients. But in those over 15,000 sessions, I found out 50 limiting beliefs. And so that free ebook is a shift from those limitations to expansion with our proprietary technique, which is called Free Me EFT. Over a decade ago, having worked with EFT and having learned that there were limitations to the masculinity of that technique, we've created Free Me EFT, which balances feminine and masculine. And so you have a video and you have the 50 programs and you can do self-healing journey. So mygiftoffer.com is where you would obtain it.
Thank you so much. That's so generous of you as well. I always like to end, and I mean, you could probably talk all day, and I know I don't, so I don't want to, excuse me, I don't want to use the word busy. We're both extremely gifting, so, and our time is always, time is energy. I'm not going to lie. So I don't want to take up all of your energy here, although I would love to have you back and expand the conversation. But I always like to end with what I call a pearl of wisdom. Is there some pearl that you want to leave the listening audience with that might make a difference for even just one listener out there today? Hopefully many, but
Yeah, I just a simple reminder that if this all-knowing universe, or God, great overall designer, had a better way to fill time and space that you currently occupy as you, it would have been done so, but it had been. So you are the very best all of the universe is currently capable of. So just remember that.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That was beautiful. And your TED Talk, but we had, what is you've done so much. And it's such an honor to hear that you were getting on stage doing it. I'm like, oh, I know her. It was like, that's something that I've really put on my list for quite a time now. So that's definitely this year. I'm planning on doing that. What, what, if not TED Talk, was there something else that was, for lack of a better, crowning moment, like where it was just like, oh my God,
I think for me, and I will do that, our cheapest product, which by the way, the glitch in payment has been like forever, so we're not even collecting for it somehow. We have an app that's called Empower-Me app.
uh,
Um, that app was channeled in Hawaii. That app is something I go to daily myself.
uh,
And so, and I'm categories in that app. And it's intuitive, it tunes into your energy. So what I'm thinking is we're gonna go to my answer category for your family, for your awakening potential family. And I want everybody to ask a question internally for guidance. And we're gonna have the app tune in and see what it tells as an answer. So you were talking about TEDx. Karen, how about we say what is the direction with TEDx for Karen? Just for entertaining you, me, and the audience. Yes? Are you good with
yeah,
that? Let's
I'm
do that.
cool.
So let's click on my answer and see this is proprietary. You shake the phone, and as you shake the phone, the heart starts tuning in. And once it's tuned in, we're going to read what your answer is. And I will take a picture and send it to you, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
So, the nice thing about doing a crossword puzzle is you know the solution. Stephen Sondheim. There's always a solution. Instead of waiting for the best solution, start implementing the ideas you currently have and be open to adjust them as needed. Affirm. And the affirmation is actually the energy affirmation. It's coded to activate it within you. I am now moving to forward from solution to solution. Instead of focusing on problems, I focus on possible solutions. I allow for the best and highest ones to come to me with grace and ease, with clarity and focus. How beautiful is that?
Beautiful. That was
So I will
wow.
send it to you, and it looks like today the topic for the TEDx goes in as a solution.
And of course, company is Tranquil Solutions. So it's going,
No way. No.
company is Tranquil Solutions. And that was a download for me years ago. And
That's your TEDx right there.
my
That's your TEDx.
my girlfriend was in advertising in New York, and she said to me, Tranquil Solutions will never hit. Nobody's gonna, and I'm like, that's like telling me I'm using Karen and stripping me naked. I'm like, that is 3 years later, she came back to me. She goes, Karen, that is exactly who you are. And I'm like, yeah,
So, but what it sounded to me, then the TED, yeah, I mean, here it's all implementing. So it's tranquil solution. So because TEDx likes the steps, I would say
yeah,
7 steps to implement tranquil solutions. And there's your TEDx.
yeah. Oh, thank you.
So that's why I love the app, Karen. You can't make it up.
You
Every
can't
single
make it
time, you can't make it up.
exactly, exactly. I have so enjoyed the time together for sure, for sure. I said I'd love to have you back at another time. If you ever get down to Sarasota, let's get together. I know you're up there in the cold still, right? Or hopefully it's
It was hot. It's gonna be chilly next week. It's an up and down thing from 80 to 50. I would love to. And I will come to your TEDx talk in Sarasota. How about that? For 7 steps to tranquil solutions.
I'm on it. And I
You
will
heard it first, people. Start
be
sharing it.
and actually, it's perfect timing because my book is coming out next month, and I've got the course coming out. So everything is over. Everything I have done has overlapped, which I'm sure
What's
is.
the name of the book, Karen?
It's called Spiraling Up, Command Your Light.
Ooh.
What can I build with that? So I'm really excited about this because it was literally, I got divorced in 2007, and right around 2008, I was guided, write this book. And I went, can we put it off later? Because I don't know what spiraling up is supposed to mean. So here's a perfect example. I put it off, and then life got busy. I raised on my own and did all that and completely forgot about it. I said, someday, one day, I'm going to write a book. I've written 11 international best-selling collaborative books. And I said, I need I'm making everybody else wealthy. I'm not making, it's also about me as well. You got to take care of yourself, right? So my horse passed in
Oh,
October. Yeah, thank you. I went to the beach here in Sarasota. We have our white crystal quartz. It's a vortex here. And went to the beach and I'm sobbing. And of course, when we emote the emotions, it's out of our body. We're not keeping it in store because the body keeps score. And I know that because that's the body of the work I do. So I'm at the beach, Victoria, and I'm crying and crying. And I look up and there's a cloud that looks exactly like my horse laying there as I had passed that day. And I immediately went home and I started writing, and I wrote chapter 8. I don't know where that came from. Chapter 8. Now, why not chapter 1 or chapter 8? The editor didn't finish my editing the book yesterday. Finished editing the book, and she said, out of all the chapters, I don't know why, but chapter 8 was just, it didn't need any editing. It was my favorite chapter. And I was like, that was those moments, and then the rest just flowed. So
that's beautiful.
thank you for listening. I'm excited it's finally edited and it's coming out next
Well,
month.
congratulations. No coincidences, right? I will be sending blessing to it as it's going to spiral up.
It's all about, yeah, right? Most people spiraling and they'll think spiraling down. And I'm all about expansion. We're all spiraling up. Right? What can we build with that? So,
Wonderful.
yeah, Victoria Rader, Vika. It's such an honor. And for our listening audience, if something sparked you and if you felt it, I mean, I certainly did, to Victoria, reach out to me. Both of our information will be in the show notes, and we're both coming from love. So I know if you reach out to Victoria, you will definitely, definitely get a real good response from me as well. And share this with somebody who you feel would really benefit from listening to this. Until next time, know that the bridge from ordinary to extraordinary is built with small steps of choices and big leaps of faith. So remember, you got this. Till next time.